There aren't many vehicles left in production that can trace their design philosophy back 4 decades without much compromise, but the Toyota Land Cruiser 70 series is one of them. While the rest of the SUV world has drifted toward plush interiors, touchscreens, and driver assist software, the 70 series has stubbornly stuck to its original brief: be tough, be simple, and don't break down in the middle of nowhere. That stubbornness is exactly why it's still around, and why it's still taken seriously in places where failure isn't an inconvenience, it's a genuine problem. Toyota's broader Land Cruiser lineup has softened considerably over the years, chasing comfort and refinement for buyers who mostly drive on pavement. The 70 series never got that memo, and it's better for it. Its following has been built the hard way, through decades of service in deserts, mines, remote farmland, and rural roads that barely qualify as roads. When Toyota brought a facelifted version back to Japan for 2024, it was a nostalgic moment for domestic buyers, though notably, Japan doesn't get the full spread of variants sold elsewhere. Buried among those international-only configurations is one of the strangest and rarest, the short wheelbase model, a stubby, oddly proportioned version of the 70 series that still manages to turn heads decades into this vehicle's life. Toyota rolled out a handful of SWB configurations recently, each aimed at a different kind of buyer. There's a narrow-body hardtop finished in black, built with commercial use in mind rather than curb appeal. Steel wheels, a raised snorkel for wading through water, crank windows, vinyl surfaces throughout. Nothing here is trying to impress anyone, and that's rather the point. Then there's a wide-body version in a sand-toned finish, dressed up with flared fenders and a noticeably nicer cabin, complete with power windows, suede and leather trim, and an actual infotainment screen. It's still a 70 series underneath, just one that's willing to make a few concessions to comfort. The variant that actually stopped people in their tracks, though, was the soft top. Rather than a conventional folding roof, this one has a windshield that releases and lays flat against the hood, an oddball feature that Chief Engineer Uchiyama explained isn't just for show. Ranchers, apparently, find it genuinely useful. It gives them clearer sightlines and room to work a lasso while moving through open pasture, which is not a sentence you get to write about most modern vehicles. Practical concerns clearly won out over aesthetics here, though Toyota didn't skip on safety. There's a rollover bar built in, and the rear features side-facing bench seating that can pack in 6 or 7 people depending on how it's configured. It's a strange, charming throwback to the Land Cruiser's roots as a working tool rather than a lifestyle vehicle. Short wheelbase Land Cruisers have always been something of an oddity because most markets simply prefer the longer 5-door SUV or the pickup variants. But that shorter body isn't just a quirk, it's genuinely useful. Tighter turning circles and a smaller footprint make the SWB far easier to maneuver in places where a full-size Land Cruiser would be a liability, which explains why it's found favor with police departments and cattle ranchers working narrow trails and cramped terrain. The numbers tell the story of just how compact this thing really is. The wheelbase comes in at 2,310 millimeters, or 90.9 inches, shorter than Toyota's own tiny Aygo X by about 120 millimeters, and only 60 millimeters longer than a Suzuki Jimny's. And yet, at 4,235 millimeters long, it's still a considerably larger vehicle overall than either of those comparisons might suggest. Underneath, nothing about the SWB has been softened to match its smaller size. It rides on the same body-on-frame ladder chassis that's defined the nameplate for generations, built specifically to survive abuse that would fold a unibody SUV in half. Solid live axles sit front and rear. Front coil springs smooth things out a bit, and rear leaf springs handle the heavy loads that come with commercial and agricultural work. Engine choice depends heavily on where you're buying. There's a 4.2-liter naturally aspirated inline-6 diesel making a modest 129 horsepower, mated to a 5-speed manual, an old-school combination built for longevity rather than speed, and one that plenty of buyers actively prefer for exactly that reason. For those wanting more punch, there's a 4.0-liter V6 gas engine producing 228 horsepower, paired with a 6-speed automatic that makes daily driving considerably less of a chore. Whichever engine ends up under the hood, power goes to all four wheels, keeping the SWB's off-road credentials intact regardless of which powertrain a buyer picks. Even with the attention this little variant gets from enthusiasts, Toyota's production numbers make clear who it's really built for. Chief Engineer Uchiyama noted that roughly 90% of SWB production heads straight to the Middle East, with the remaining slice scattered across South America and parts of Asia. That concentration isn't random. The desert terrain, isolated work sites, and heavy agricultural use across the Middle East line up almost perfectly with what the SWB was designed to do, and the model's reputation there has been earned over years of hard, unglamorous service. Despite renewed interest following the Japanese facelift, Toyota isn't bringing the SWB to Japan anytime soon. Uchiyama did leave the door open though, admitting he's fond of the compact model and wouldn't rule out a domestic launch down the road. For now, its limited availability only adds to the appeal, especially as the broader industry keeps drifting toward bigger, more tech-laden vehicles. In Dubai, the three-door hardtop SWB starts at 177,900 dirham, roughly 48,400, about 10,000 dirham cheaper than the five-door version, and in some markets, it's the only alternative to the larger SUV and pickup body styles Toyota offers. What the 70 series proves, and the SWB in particular, is that there's still real demand out there for machines built around durability and repairability, rather than screens and soft-touch plastics. It was never meant to compete with luxury crossovers, and it isn't starting now. It exists for people who need something that simply works day after day in places where most modern SUVs would quietly give up. That singular sense of purpose is precisely what's kept the 70 series relevant for over 40 years, and precisely why it isn't going anywhere soon.